So Gemara says on Yud Chesam Beis, Meiru me'idin oso. Kohen Gadol testifies, and we testify upon him. Meid frek the Gemara kasha v'atanya v'salamta pam shata misalim pam sheyeta misalim. So Gemara says, what do you mean? Isn't there a din of kavod abrius? Isn't there a din that sometimes it's not roy for a person? This din is talking, like we said, it's talking about a zaken vein lefi chodo. You shouldn't do ashavas aveda. So the Gemara frek the kasha, so too for Kohen Gadol. It's not right for him to come stam to give edus, and it's in a lefi chodo. We should extract from the din of Hashavas Aveda, of Zaken V'nil Fi Chodo, and apply it to the din of a Kohen Gadol testifying that it shouldn't be, it's beneath his covet, and he shouldn't have to testify. That's what we asked. The Gemara's kasha is a problem, because the Gemara, because the Rambam Shita and Paskin based on like that in the Mechaber and Hilchos Hashavas Aveda, is that the Rambam Shita is against the rush, but the Rambam Paskins that you're allowed to be meichel on your kavod, and if a Talmud Chacham wants or a Zaken wants to go and be meishav aveda even though it's beneath his kavod, he's allowed to. So what's the Gemara's kasha? If you're extracting from those halachas, and the halacha is according to the Rambam that you're allowed to be meichel on your kavod. So say the Gemara says made when he's meichel on his kavod. So that's a raya to the Rosh Shita that the Rambam Paskins that you're not allowed to be meichels, unless we say that there's a chiluk between edus, Kohen Gadol being made, and aveda was only where the Rambam would say it. But when it comes to edus, for some reason, even the Rambam would be meideh that he wouldn't be able to be meichel on his kavod in order to testify. But there's some explanation that has to be understood within the Gemara's kasha. Similarly, the Rabbeinu Yoina asks that there's also halacha that just like zakin v'nefli fodo, the Gemara says in Bava Metzia, it's only if it was my hefsid, I wouldn't do that for myself. Meaning it's $1. It's beneath my covet for me to be involved in such petty cash. So I'm going to be meichel on it. But if it was $1 million deal, that I myself would get my hands dirty and I would step in the mud in order to be meishiv it. If it was the hefsid klape him, he would have done it. So then the din of zaken v'lefi chvod doesn't apply. So maybe that's the case. Maybe it's a real big din imam in this case, and therefore, just like the din of zaken, all similar kashas that are all the Rabbeinu Yoina asks on this Gemara as well. So Rabbeinu Yoina says the Mishnah sounds like it's talking about every case. Fine, maybe we'll see a possible other teretz to the Rabbeinu Yoina's question as we proceed. So the Gemara says haketzad kain v'hu beikas hakvaras. One of the cases where it's not appropriate is a kain v'beis hakvaras. Zaken ve'enu lefi chvodo, or it's just beneath someone's covet. Or it's just too much of a hefsid for me, and I gotta make my money, and this is going to be a loss of money. So now the Gemara asks, so also by Kohen Gadol, and for the Gemara answer, Amar Rav Yosef made lemelech. So the Gemara initially answers, you're right. It's not talking about a case where it's not bechavadik to the Kohen Gadol. He's going to be made to someone who's above him. He's giving testimony to the Melech. Good? Fine. So we ask the following question. So Taisus says, made v'atanya v'salamta. So Taisus says, in time of a lukma be'edus hachodesh, devade Kohen Gadol made the surah. Second Taisus on the daf. Taisus says, what do you mean? What was the Gemara's kasha? Similarly to all the kashas I asked, Taisus is chipping away at the Gemara as well. Taisus says, okay, he's not made when it comes to dinei mamanis, but he has to be made for iser v'heter. How does Taisus know that? Taisus says because, in general, the Gemara in Brachas tells us, whenever it comes to issues of kavod, bishlama, when it comes to dinei mamanis, when it comes to hashavas aveda, we could say that gadol kavod abrius, and therefore you don't have to return the item. You don't have to deal with the issue of dinei mamanis. But says the Gemara in Brachas, when it comes to violating Yisurim, ein chachma vein tuna l'neged Hashem. You can't have any other calculations when it comes to the dvar iser v'heter. And why can't you just say that the edus has to do with iser v'heter? So Taisus has a technical answer, but clearly Taisus is under the assumption that you're right. Kohen Gadol would for sure have to be made if it was a case of iser v'heter. And on top of that, even not Eser V'Heter, like Kiddush HaChodesh or let's say mishum iguna, let's say he knows about whether or not the husband was killed in a war or he's alive. All those cases of iser v'heter, that for sure the kohen gadol would have to come. But also l'chora for malchus or dinei nefashos, l'chora Taisus would hold that would for sure apply, and the Gemara's kasha would not be a kasha on that. And Taisus' answer is that but the Gemara thought that the ein made who made no so is all cases, even dinei mamnas. But Taisus' shita is that a kohen gadol has to testify for iser v'heter and anything alike outside of dinei mamnas. But if you look at the Rambam from last week, we printed it with the Marim Mekayim. Everyone has it. Rambam in Parak Aleph Halacha Beis. The Rambam starts off quoting a Gemara in Shavuos. We're going to see that Gemara in Shavuos in a second. Haya eid chacham gadol vaya beis din pachs mimena b'chachma. If the aid was a big Talmud Chacham and it was a zilzal, the beis din is not as big of a Talmud Chacham as him. Hol ve'in kvoda sheyelich lefneim asi shal kavod ha'Torah adif v'yesh lo limaneh. Since it's not kavodik for him to go to the beis din, so the essay of Kavod HaTorah outweighs his mitzvah to be made. It's unbelievable, Rabbi say. There's a pasuk in Vayikra. There's a din, a chiyuv d'oraisa to give edus if you know edus. Im lo yagiv v'nasa avodo. You have a chiyuv to give edus. You have to testify. And yet the Gemara says that if it's beneath someone's kavod, the essay of Kavod HaTorah is now outweighing that chiyuv d'oraisa to give edus.
That's still a
So let's get. So said the Rambam, Amed varmamurim be'edus mom. That's what the Rambam says. So now, what does the Rambam continue? Aval be'edus shemafresh behen. Not only Ros Hamad Adam Recha. Aval be'edus shemafresh behen iser. V'chein edus nefashos Ros Hamad Adam Recha Eitan. What does the Rambam say? Well, exactly what Eitan says. O malchus haylechu meid. Right? So the Rambam clearly draws the distinction that Taisus just said, that from the Gemara, that it's obvious that Kavod Abrius and Kavod HaTorah does not, the cheshbon of Kavod does not exist when it comes to Isurim, and when it comes to Nefashos or anything extreme above and beyond Mom. Ein Chachma leneged Hashem. The Rambam even quotes the pasuk. Kol makom sheyesh chilul Hashem ein mashkichan al Kavod harav. Good? Comes on the Rambam in Halacha Gimel. Kohen Gadol ein chayav lahoyed ele edus shu lemelech Yisrael bilvad. Halacha Beis din Agadol made ba aval shari edus pater. What does the Rambam say? The Rambam paskins our Gemara. Rambam says that a Kohen Gadol is only made for a melech, but not for anyone else. So now I ask you, how do you read this Rambam? Kohen Gadol is not made for a melech. So now I want to know, what's the Rambam Shita? Does the Rambam agree with Taisus that makes a distinction between Mammon and Isser and Nefashos and Malchus? What do you think? From Halacha Gimel. You think not. You think that across the board, the Rambam says that what? That he's potter. And the only one he's made in any situation is Melech. I agree with you. And that's the opinion of the Kesef Mishnah. And the reason why Jerome and the Kesef Mishnah think like that is because he's taking it in context. If you read all these, the Rambam made a distinction. And Halacha Gimel, he doesn't distinguish. So the Rambam apparently holds that he did not made. So if that's the case, so we have a machlokes, Rambam and Taisus. But the emes is, the Mishnah Lamelech thinks our diak is wrong. The Mishnah Lamelech in Halacha Gimel says, you read the Rambam wrong. Instead of saying, like the Kesef Mishnah learned, like the Kesef Mishnah said, Rabbi Zavkaira said, that you should read it like Jerome said, that the Rambam knew about his distinguish in Halacha Beis, and he decided not to distinguish in Halacha Gimel. Says the Mishnah Lamelech, he could have the opposite approach, and say the Rambam relied on his distinction that he just said a second ago. Two totally diverging approaches that could possibly put someone to death. So this machlokes, the Mishnah Lamelech and Kesef Mishnah, are not just two, different, pshatim. It's actually going to be the nafkaminas of whether or not a person's going to be. Guy is sitting on the Bezdin, 23 day on him. They're about to kill him. Kohen Gadol happens to know Edis. According to the Kesef Mishnah, he doesn't go. According to the Mishnah Lamelech, or Naguna, he's chayv. How's it possible? It's lo yitachin. Kavod HaTorah. Kavod HaTorah. So let's see. What's this all about? So I'd like to suggest what this is all about in the following analysis. So let's go to the Gemara in Shavuos that introduces this halacha of Kavod HaTorah. which the Rambam already told us, and everyone agrees that there's a chiluk between Dinei Mamanis and Isser V'Heter. The only question we had was how do we plug in our Gemara about Kohen Gadol? So Taisus says on this Gemara that says when it comes to Isser, in Chachma ve'netza ve'ntfuna neged Hashem, Taisus asks from a Gemara in Brachas. The Gemara in Brachas is talking about the following story. The Gemara says, this is the source. The Gemara in Yud Testament Beis going out to Chafam and Aleph is the source for Kavod Abrius. The Gemara tells us that if a person is wearing shatnez, that Kavod Abrius does not apply, and you have to strip yourself of clothing, even afilu be'emtza ashuk. Why? Because of this din, ein chachma ve'en tvuna ve'en etza neged Hashem. Sorry, you're over an Isser, you're violating an Isser, you have to strip yourself of your clothing. No, the Gemara just says a regular person. No. So the Gemara says, really? Kavod Abrius, you don't have such an ability? So Gemara says, what about a person who has had the chiv of Korban Pesach, and he meets a mace on the way? So the Gemara says you should bury him. Happens to be the Gemara is even talking about a kohen. The Gemara says you should bury him. So the Gemara says, why? Because Kavod Abrius. I'm going to miss the Korban Pesach. I'm going to miss the Milah. Zok the Gemara. The following words is the conclusion of the Gemara. Shev al taise shiny. What does that mean? Shev al taise means I'm not going to perform the Korban Pesach. I'm not going to perform the Milah. But I'm what? I'm passively not going to do that. Whereas in the case of shatnez, that I'm required to now strip myself of my clothing, and I now have to be mevuza and embarrassed, and I ignore the din of Kavod Abrius. Why is it that when over there I focus on the Kavod Abrius, and the Kavod Abrius outweighs the fact that I'm now violating mitzvahs of Pesach and Milah, and whereas when it comes to wearing shatnez, I ignore the Kavod Abrius, and the shatnez wins? Says the Gemara, one's kum ve'esei, you're wearing shatnez, you're walking with shatnez, you're putting on shatnez. And the other Gemara is what? Where I'm passively not doing the mitzvah. Azoy the Gemara, that's the Gemara in Brachas. Comes along Taisus and says, whoa, hold on a second. So why is the Gemara telling me in Shavuos that a Talmud Chacham has to go to court for Isser V'Heter because of Ein Chachma Ve'en Tfuna Ve'en Eitza Neged Hashem? But whereas Dinei Mamanis, that's where he has the ability to rely on his kavod. Frek Taisus Akasha and Shavuos, even in Isser V'Heter, he should be allowed to not go to court. Why? Because what? Because it's Shev al Taiseh. He's not being made. So he's similar to what? To the case in the Gemara Brachis. To the case of Hayahoylech Lishcharis Pischo, Belamulas Beno, Shev al Taiseh. Let's see the Taisus inside. Aval Isure in Chachma B'Sanhedrin Perak Kohen Gadol, our Gemara, the third Taisus on the daf, the Ramaskal Aval, the Parach Gabi Kohen Gadol made me v'salamta loy matzi l'shnui yahada made ainu b'yisser dem kein afilu melech nami. So Taisus starts off with our question of why did the Gemara answer l'gabi isser v'heter by the Kohen Gadol? Because the Gemara wanted to compare it to Melech. The Gabi Yisur lo amrin shetei maso alecha mishum de ein chachma. So Taisus says because when it comes to Melech, then it says ein me'idin, and it's not true. Taisus seems to hold that what, Abe? That a Melech would have to be made. Not only would a Kohen Gadol have to be made, but a Melech would have to be made in Isser V'Heter. And that's why Taisus is answering Taisus Kasha here, that we couldn't have answered that it's talking about Isser V'Heter, because then the clause in the Mishnah says, HaMelech Eino made, wouldn't make sense, because a Melech Taka has to be made in Isser V'Heter. So just an interesting new answer, which has ramifications legabe what the Melech has to testify, which our Taisus in Sanhedrin might not hold. So now Taisus starts our Kasha. Miu Temo. The hacha shev al taisehu. Ubeperek misha meisu bebrachas muchach the shari afilu beisser. The parach gabi amoitzi kilayim bebigdo poshta afilu beshuk mehoilich lishcharis pischa v'lomenos bo shemetam lemeis mitzvah mishum bizayin ameis umeshani shev al taise shiny. Frek taises akasha. I don't understand. This Gemara in Shavuos seems to split it isser versus mammon. It's not true. Even in areas of isser, Shev al Taisa, the Gemara in Brachas tells us that we can violate Isurim if it's Shev al Taisa, if it's passive. So now listen carefully. It says Taisus v'yesh loymar The Hossam Gnai Gadolhu Lemeis Mitzvah. She'ein loy koivrim. Guy bumps into a mace mitzvah, and he has no one else to bury. So Tosfos, there's no bigger bizayon than that. That is considered a Gnai Gadol. Says Tosfos, you're right. Gnai Gadol, we were matir isurim. B'shei val taisa. That's the teaching of the Gemara in Brachos. But if it's not a Gnai Gadol, then even b'shei val taisa, you're not allowed to violate any isurim. And that's pshat in the Gemara in Shavuos. Why does a Talmud Chacham not be made b'shei val taisa, and even in areas of Isser v'heter? Him not being made for what? For an aguna, it's going to be Isser v'heter, but it's shei val taisa. Says Tosfos, because it's not such a gnai for a Talmud Chacham not to be made. That which the Gemara in Brachos said what? That shei val taisa even helps you for Isser v'heter? That's because it's a gnai gadol. That's mamish a meis mitzvah. It's a gnai gadol going to says the Pri Yitzchak Blazer. Thinks that is the answer to the Rabbeinu Yona's kasha in our sugya. Why didn't the Gemara make chilukim that what? That it's a hefsid mammon. Such a hefsid mammon that's so big that even the Kohen Gadol will go for himself? Says the Rabbi Yitzchak Blazer, perhaps the answer is that for a Kohen Gadol to go to court, that's more than a Talmud Chacham. That's a Gnai Gadol. And a Gnai Gadol plays by different rules. And by a Gnai Gadol, you don't have the ability to say, if it's such a load of money, then I'm going to be mochel on my covet. So you already see that Tosfos is breaking down chilukim within gradations of Gnai. So the Yitzchak Blazer says maybe that's the answer to the Rabbeinu Yona's kasha about the $1 million case to answer for the Kohen Gadol. Perhaps a Kohen Gadol going to court is more of a Gnai. It's a Gnai Gadol, and a Talmud Chacham is only a Gnai Katan. Interesting. Fine. So Tosfos gets out of the kasha, and Tosfos makes shiurim within Gnai Gadol and Gnai Katan. Shlomo the Hasan Gnai Gadol l'meis mitzvah she'ein lo kovrim lekach shei val taisa shari. Fine. But now I want to skip in the Tosfos, because not all the days the Balei Tosfos agreed with this. Tosfos has another answer. V'oidei shloimar, you see where it is? 12 lines from the bottom. Excellent. V'oidei shloimar, the kasha oisin iser. Listen to this teretz, Rabbi say, a fascinating teretz. What's the case over here, Rabbi say? Listen, he knows Eidus. And this is Eidus. Let's take Abe's case. Iguna. What are we talking about over here? If this husband is still alive and she thinks he's not alive, what's that going to lead to? Mamzerus, Eshesish, big Isurim. Okay? So Tosfos Yodish Lamer de Kasha Oisin Isser Al Yodo Loy Mikra Shei Val Taisa. What does Tosfos say? Kasha is totally wrong in the first place. Tosfos asks a kasha I don't understand. The Gemara in Shavuos makes no sense. The Talmud Chacham shouldn't have to go to be made. Not only by Mammon, he shouldn't even have to go by Yisr V'Heter. Why? Because the Talmud Chacham, Gemara in Brachos, Shei Val Taisa, even Yisr V'Heter helps. So Tosfos originally says Gnai Gadol versus Gnai Katan. Tosfos says no. He says you're not Shei Val Taisa. Why are you not Shei Val Taisa? Because that person who does the Aveira is now going to do an Aveira al Yado through you being passive. Interesting. So Tosfos calls Yenim's Aveira kum ve'esei, even though what? Everyone agrees right now when you assess the situation, I'm passive. And I would venture to say that the first day in Tosfos looks at this second day in Tosfos and says, what? Kum ve'esei? Lamaisa, the guy is sitting at home, not coming, learning his Black Gemara. He's not going to be made Eidus. He's Shei Val Taisa. He's passive. So why is it that the second day in Tosfos held that that's considered kum ve'esei and that's not Shei Val Taisa? And the first day it disagreed. And if you want to know something, Rabbi say, this Shaila that these 2 days in Tosfos have had such unbelievable ramifications. You're not going to believe the ramifications. Turn to the Tshuva in Noida B'Yehuda or Achaim Siman Lamed Hey. This is my favorite Tshuva in Noida B'Yehuda. I believe I've even quoted it in the shul. The Noida B'Yehuda has a Tshuva over here, which is a fascinating Tshuva. A guy comes to the Noda B'Yehuda, Rabbi Yecheskel Landa, and he says, listen to this. Talk about a shidduch. He says, I'm marrying this girl, but I was mezaneh with my mother-in-law, and I want to know, should I tell my father-in-law? Right? Right? So that he's not going to violate over be'isr because she was mezaneh b'rotzen. And then she's asur al baila. Okay, right? She's asur al baila. Saita asur al baila. So what do I do? That's the Noda B'Yehuda shaila. I mean, I got a shaila like that. I don't know. What does Noda B'Yehuda? I would retire after that. Yes, seriously. So the emes is, I can't even tell you, we shouldn't even record this. Like, Baruch Hashem, the year is Shemaim, that the guys are now asking. I think I got 7 shilas about other guys, in what they're doing on their finals, what they got rishus from teachers, and guys are now asking, what do I do as B'nai Torah? Like, guys are really making these cheshbonos of like, they're killing the curve because they're doing what they're doing. This is really, I don't think we can upload this, But Baruch Hashem, I was really nispal. The year is Shemayim, and guys are really trying to do the right thing. Baruch Hashem. Okay. So that was the shaila. That was the shaila that the Noda B'Yehuda was given. So Noda B'Yehuda says, I think it's a machloikis between the Rambam and the Rosh. What's the machloikis, the Rambam and the Rosh? Says the Noda B'Yehuda. First of all, the tshuva is fascinating, not only for what I'm about to read to you, but the tshuva is fascinating because this Noda B'Yehuda, it's kedai to go through this Noda B'Yehuda during Elul. He talks about the tshuva process and how now he could do tshuva for the Yisurim that he did, and he talks about tshuva samishkol and different things and different tanesim. He talks about this tshuva. It's an unbelievable tshuva that Noda B'Yehuda has. Kamamish Kadai for many different things. Then he has a chidushim legabe the sugya of einis or chalalisser because he cheshbins. He says maybe she was a nida at the time, so she was usher anyway. So maybe the Yisr Saita al Baila wasn't chal. It's unbelievable tshuva. Like mamish, you're learning these sugyas and you think like Haterim and Bava Metzia is now going to be mater a woman to her husband. So says the Noda B'Yehuda, look at the third paragraph. I'm going to answer first things first. I don't want to delay, and I have to answer b'ktsara. And by the way, the tshuva is huge. We're worried about the zilzal mishpacha. Yikarom yucheses b'Yisrael v'yeshlem bonim chashuvim im shayach b'zeh gadol kavod abriya shadoicha loisa shesh shabbatayra. Says the Noda B'Yehuda, let's go straight to the Gemara in Brachos. It says, Hine davar pashin. The loyam brin galda abrias ela b'sheva al taisa v'lei b'kuma ese. What the Gemara tells us a klal. Kavod abrias only matters b'kuma ese, b'sheva al taisa, and not b'kuma ese. Umashikosa ma'alosa shegam ze neged abal tshuva hazeh mikre sheva al taisa shelo yukum v'yoidia la'abal. So I'm not going to tell I'm not going to tell this guy, and I'll be b'sheva al taisa, right? So that's what he wants to say. And even though what? The Baal's I'm gonna stick quiet and I'm not gonna tell him about it, and he's gonna continue living with his wife, and he's gonna be over Yisurim. Says the Noda B'Yehuda, last line of the first column, Dover zeh plukta de rebusa, v'nechleku b'zeh harambam v'harash. A brand new machlekes the Rambam and the Rosh. What's machlekes the Rambam and the Rosh? What's the din? The Gemara only talk about the following case. I started off, hoylech b'shuk, v'nimtze shatnes b'bigdo. So Gemara says, that's it, remove it. Gemara says, ein chochma ve'en tvuna ve'en eitza neged Hashem. Gemara says you have to forget about your covenant. Frek the Rosh on that Gemara. Machloikas the Ram and the Rosh. What happens if it's not my clothing? I know that Adi is wearing kilayim. Do I have to strip Adi, or Adi, because Adi is going to turn around and say, what are you doing, Rabbi? What's going on over here? Because over here, what can I say? It's over here, he doesn't know about it. So is that Sheva al Taise, or is that Kum Ve'ese? Al Zeh Nechlaku HaRambam VaRosh. But Moyer Rabbi say it's not just the Rambam and the Rosh. It's our 2 days in Taisus and Shavuos. Taisus says that for me not to be made, and this woman now to go on and go with the Eidos Iguna and not to know that her husband's still alive, that's considered what? That's not Shev al Taiseh. Im Oisa Acherem Isra al Yado, that's what? That's Kum Ve'eseh. His Aveira is because of me. Whereas the first Taisus that made Chilukim of Gnai Godol, Gnai Koton, held fundamentally, you're 100% right, the Gemara Brachos applies, that it's considered Shev al Taiseh, even though someone else is doing an Isser. Why? Because I'm sitting at home, I'm passive, I'm not being made, and I'm staying alone. I'm staying at home in a passive way. Says the Noida B'Yehuda, this machloikes of whether or not you should tell the husband is now going to be totally on our 2 days in Taisis, on whether or not what this is considered kum ve'eser or shev al taisa. Will cover abriya supply over here. Should you tell the father-in-law? Should you not tell the father? Yeah, David.
I was wondering, in that case,
yeah.
He's wearing shabbos. Isn't that also shev al taisa? You're saying that you're...
No, Adi's not shev al taisa. He's not an avarion, but he's not shev al taisa. He put on the beged. You're asking the following question. You're asking even for me. Right now, I'm wearing beged shatnez. I'm not doing any activeness. I'm not doing any activity. It's farfalin. I put it on. So the Ritva writes on that Gemara, since you put on originally the Gemara, the length of time that it continues to keep it on, the Ritva has a lashon. The Kesef Mishnah has a lashon. It's keilu hu malbish v'chazer hu malbish kol shavasha. So you're right. It's a quirk of a case, but we view that to be kum ve'eseh. Yeah.
But it's two different things. It's his kum. If he's wearing the shot, it's his kum v'aseh. He was aware of.
Right.
But by the kain not being made on Eidos Isha, he's directly responsible for the Isha that's going to be done.
Oh, I hear what you're saying. You want to say, why am I direct? Why can't you say? Why can you compare it? He could just Why is he directly responsible? They did their due diligence. They cheshbon out the case. I happen to have some guidance, but I sit home. So now Adi was under the impression that this was not shatnez. I happen to have certain information that know that it's shatnez. So the two cases are very comparable. Wherever Rabbi say, it's such nafkamin la halacha, and it's so nogeya, but what are they arguing about? What is this machlokes? So this machlokes, says the Stipler in Shavuos, is such a fundamental machlokes that affects many different sugyos in Shas. You see, we're all fundamentally trying to define the following Gemara. Kavod abriyas can be doiche and iser if it's shev va'al taseh. How do you define the words shev va'al taseh? So we defined it as passive versus kum ve'eseh, meaning active. Is that the only definition? Oh. Perhaps, maybe it means iser, because usually in iser, a lav is kum ve'eseh. I get up and I eat the nevela, and I do something wrong. And sheva al taseh usually is that I am being mevatel, a positive commandment, a mitzvahs eseh. What happens if I have an iser that's b'sheva al taseh? What's going to be the din there? So it's, you know what? It's not only nogeya to kavod abriyas. What's the halacha when it comes to the halachas as follows? Chazal have the ability, yesh koyach l'chachamim, the Gemara in Yevamos tells us, yesh koyach l'chachamim, lakor dover min ha-Torah b'shev va'al taseh. Chazal have the ability to now be oiker a din min ha-Torah b'shev va'al taseh. What does that mean when Chazal have the ability to say, don't blow shofar on Rosh Hashanah that falls out on Shabbos? What does that mean? Does that mean that Chazal now say the mitzvah doesn't exist anymore? Or does it mean that Chazal tell you, we'd rather you in this conflict be passive and not be active? You see, there's two ways for you to understand any case of Shev al Taseh. You could understand it as follows. I have kavod abriyas on the one hand, and I have an Isser on the other hand. So Chazal tell me one of two things. They tell me, no, kavod abriyas beats out the Isser because it's Shev al Taiseh. Or I could understand it like this. There's kavod abriyas and there's the Isser. So what do Chazal tell you? Not that this beats out that. Chazal tell you, you know what? I don't want to mish. I don't want to get involved. There are two very important factors over here. So you know what we say when we don't want to mish, when we don't want to get involved, when we're very delicate over here? What do we say? Sheva al taisa. Just don't get involved. Just sit back. Is Sheva al taisa the nature of the Isser? Is Sheva al taisa mimachmas the choimer that it's a kaldik Isser? Or is Sheva al taisa now telling you, no, you know what? There's two important things here. We're not being madche the other one. We're not being doiche the other one. The other one's still chai v'kayim, but we're just paskening for you. Don't get involved in the conflict. Sheva al taisa. That's going to have nafka minas in the following situation. If you understand that the rabbis are understanding that the mitzvah still exists, but they have other cheshbonis that you're going to carry on Shabbos, so what happens if I do the mitzvah? Was I yotzer or was I not yotzer? If you understand like the first side that Chazal said, no, they were oiker the mitzvah. There's a yesh koyach lechachamim when it comes to Sheva al taisa. It's a weaker aveira. It's a weaker mitzvah. It's only Sheva al taisa. Chachamim have a koyach to uproot it. If that's the case, even if you blew shofar on Rosh Hashanah, you weren't yotzer. Says Reb Kiva Eger, if a person blew shofar on Rosh Hashanah, he was yotzer and he shouldn't say shechianu tomorrow. Azoi paskins Reb Kiva Eger. Apparently, Reb Kiva Eger holds that what? Chazal weren't oiker. Exactly. Chazal weren't oiker. They just told you, do me a favor. We have a cheshbon here. We're scared. We're nervous. Sheva al taisa. Same thing exists when it comes to kavod abrius also. Kavod abrius versus an isser. Did Chazal say kavod abrius has the ability to now say the isser is non-existent because it's only a weaker isser of Sheva al taisa? Or did Chazal not touch the isser? Chazal just said, you should be Sheva al taisa on the mitzvah, and it's not a weaker thing. Why is that relevant to us? I'll tell you why. Because if you want to cheshbon, if you want a cheshbon, that it's totally uprooting the other one, and it has the ability to be paramount over the other one, and it's non-existent in all those areas of halacha, so then what? Then it's going to be mitzad the chomer shabo. Is it chomer or kal? You have to weigh your options. But if you understand what? That all Chazal were telling you is to be passive and not to get involved, so it has nothing to do with chumras. Both exist. Both are chai v'kayim. We just tell you, please be passive. So now, you have 2 days in Taisus. Taisus says, what if the conflict is not by me, but the conflict is what? Is by an isser by someone else. Okay? By an isser v'heter, by acherim. Like our case of Iguna, the 2 days in Shavuos, like our case of the isser labayla, like our case of the Ram and the Rosh in Shatnez. If the answer is that what? That kavod abrius is doiche by an isser b'sheva al taisa, because Chazal tell you just be passive and don't deal with the conflict. So then that has to be passive means I have a conflict in my situation. I have a kavod on one end, but I have an isser on one end, and Chazal say, be passive. Mashe'en kein what? If I'm cheshbening what? Other people being over isurim al yodo, so then I'm looking at the chomer aveira. Then I'm looking, is it chomer or kal? Then we're looking at the spirituality in the world. We're looking what is higher and paramount to what? So then I could even start cheshbening, whoa, they're going to be isurim al yodo. Kum ve'esei doesn't mean what? Doesn't mean passive versus active. Kum ve'esei means, is there going to be a spiritual desolation? Someone's going to violate an aveira from this situation. Then it doesn't have to be only my isser, but it can even be other people's isurim. Mitzvahs don't have the ability to override isurim. Kavod abrius doesn't have the ability to override isurim. This has nafkaminas. This chakira has nafkaminas. This is the explanation of our Tosfos, says the Stipler, of whether or not sheva al taisa means just be passive, don't deal with the conflict, or does it mean no, that there are certain weaker kal isurim that we have the ability to totally get rid of. That will now explain whether or not I cheshbon other people's isser v'heter in my situation? Is it only my personal conflict? Or no, it's mitzvahs versus isurim. It's kal versus chomer. That's going to explain the Rambam and the Rosh, but it's even this machlokes of Shev al Tais and Kum ve'esei is not only nogea to this sugya of kavod abrius and this sugya of shatnez, but it's nogea to so many sugyas where Shev al Tais and Kum ve'esei come up. Let's say, for example, the Chazal said that it used to be that a sadin was chayiv in tzitzis. Chazal made a gzeira that there was people were using tzitzis and tcheles that were shaloi kedin. So now, if a person now would put tzitzis on there and tcheles on there, right? Would he get malchus? So if you understand that they uprooted the mitzvah, so now you just violated a losase with that esei dechaloisase. Tzitzis and kilayim have the din of esei dechaloisase when it comes to regular tcheles. But where Chazal uprooted the mitzvah, so then there's no esei dechaloisase. But if you understand that what? No, it's just, you have a conflict. So we tell you, it's better, yesh koyach chacham and lakar davar neshev al taisa. Chacham have the ability to tell you, sit at home. Don't get involved in the conflict. But if I did it, I didn't listen to Chazal, so it could be that still essays derechaloisase. Could be I won't get malchus in the end of the day. It could be that it's still in existence. So that's going to be this shaila. What? What, for me to do it? No, you're a nice varf. You're a horrible person, and you're a zakin mamre. Yeah, no, I'm not giving you an aliyah, but you want to get that? Can I give the guy malchus?
What's the akira?
They were oiker the mitzvah of tzitzis.
They can't turn into a law. They were open that
I said dalid konfis where it's being used, and there's a mitzvah of tzitzis where it's being used. We're saying now, no. Shev al taisa. Yeah, the mitzvah and tzitzis is always on the gav. Right. If you understand the tzad that they were oiker the entire mitzvah, they can't be mekayim. So now I would get malchus. I would violate Klein, right? That's what the Eshkol writes. The Eshkol writes if you bizman hazeh, you put tchelis onto your sadin, you would get malchus because they were uprooted the mitzvah entirely.
Is that one of the exceptions supposed to bring down a sukkah for the with Baal Sham over hill?
Excellent. That's exactly right. So Rabbi Chanan, when he writes about this, Rabbi Chanan says that's the example he brings. He says Tosfos writes that if you sit in a sukkah where Chazal made a gzeira to not sit at the edge of the sukkah, Chazal were concerned that maybe Shemi Yamashech Achar Shulchan, right? So Chazal were concerned that maybe you're technically the person is sitting majority of his body inside the sukkah, and his shulchan is now half in and half out. It was good, it worked out. My wife puts the stuff from the kitchen at the end of the table. I bring it in. We have a whole system here. Comes along Chazal, Beis Shammai say that you're going to be Shemi Yamashech Achar Shulchano or Gzeira. You're going to come and bend over and you're going to be eating outside the sukkah. That's what the Gemara says. Tosfos has a chiddush there that if you don't listen to Chazal, first of all, Tosfos says we paskin like Beis Shammai, and then Tosfos says not only do we paskin like Beis Shammai, Tosfos says if you sit in the sukkah like that, you're not mekayim the mitzvah of sukkah. So Eitan's 100% right. That's one of the examples where Chazal totally uprooted a mitzvah on a level of deraisa. So there's absolutely no problem with the way you're eating this sukkah. And yet Chazal now say because you violated Issa D'Rabbanan, Chazal were oker the mitzvah entirely. So that Tosfos clearly holds that Chazal have the ability to not just deal with conflicts and tell you to be passive. Chazal have the ability to say eradicate the mitzvah in its entirety, and that would be against the Reb Kiva Eger that says you're still yotz in the mitzvah of shofar, unless you would be machalik between the case of shofar and that case of sukkah. Yeah.
The problem is you can be over it, but can you make it into a level of a lav d'oraisa? You can give malchus martis, but you want to give malchus, it's not allowed.
Again, by every case of tzitzis, you're talking about tzitzis with kilayim?
Yeah, it's not allowed.
Every case of tzitzis, right? So you're saying like the Reb Nissim going in Shabbos. The pashtus is the esei deichaloisa essay doesn't mean that there's no lav there. When the Torah says you should wear tzitzis and tchelis, the Torah says you should have the Isser Shatnez there. And there's an Isser Shatnez there. And the only reason you're not getting Malchus there is because I have a Chiddush called Esei Deichalois Essay. So once I neutralize that essay, I go back to Malchus. You're saying another svar. You're saying, no, when the Torah was mechadesh esay doichalois that you should wear tzitzis on daled kanvas with cheles, it was loy nemra ha'isser in such a fashion. But I'll even say they would never gave that isser in such a fashion. But I would suggest even to that's only true when the mitzvah is in existence. I hear what you're saying according to Reb Nissen Gaon, but one could still argue and say that's where the Torah was mechadish the mitzvah. But once Chazal had the capacity to totally neutralize that mitzvah, so the old Isser Kilayim, just like there's going to be Kilayim in Adi's Beged, the Kilayim applies to Daled Kanfis. So that's what's going to emanate out of our sugya. So comes out, Rabbi say, what comes out fascinating according to this is Lamaisa. This is a machlokes, the Mishnah Lamelech and the Kesef Mishnah in Das Rambam. Again, we had a shaila. How do we read our Rambam? The Rambam says that what? The Rambam says when it comes to Kohen Gadol, he's only made for a melech. So Jerome said, like the Kesef Mishnah, he's only made for a melech, means Lagabe Stam a person, even if it means an iguna, even if it means Malkus Din in a Fashis, sit tight, no problem. Why? Covered up Rias. Comes along the Mishnah Melech and says, no. What's the raya of the Kesef Mishnah? Because the Rambam made the chiluk by Talmud Chacham and Halacha Beis. And the Rambam specifically did not make the chiluk when it comes to Kohen Gadol. He said, sit tight. So comes along the Kesef Mishnah and says, sit tight for everything. Dinei nefashos, iguna, everything. Comes along the Mishnah Melech and says, how could you say such a thing? What David said. Chalila. And what Eitan said, which if you remember, Rabbi Isai, when we started the sugya, I quoted a Meshech Chochma that quoted a Sifra that said for a person, for a kohen, even in the middle of the Avodah, if he has the ability to save a person's life, he has to leave the Mizbeach and save his life because of the drush of the Sifra, Lo Samer al Dam Reyecha. Yet that Meshech Chochma and that Sifra is clearly against who? Clearly against the Kesef Mishnah Pshat and our Rambam. Because he says by Dinei Nefashos, you don't have to go. Not only the avoida. He says, Kovod Abrius. He says, continue your chavrusa. Mishnah Lamelech says, Chalila. The Rambam was relying on what he said by Talmud Chacham, the chilukim that exists by Talmud Chacham. That's what the Rambam meant when it comes to Kohen Gadol. Whatever Rabbi said, what do we have over here? A machlekes Mishnah Lamelech and Kesef Mishnah that potentially could save a guy's life. But in Lumdus, what do we have over here? With machlekes the Mishnah Lamelech and the Kesef Mishnah in Das Rambam about whether or not what? How do you define Kum Ve'esei and Shev Al Taiseh? Which day in Taisis and Shavuos do you hold like? Moreover, Rabbi Isai, I think if our cheshbon is right, we should hold what? It should depend on the machlokes, the Rambam and the Rosh, by the Tshuva, the Noida B'Yehuda. Since the Rambam holds that what? That you have to be Pirish. Another guy, I remember correctly, right? Which way did the Rambam hold in that Gemara? The Rambam holds what? So the Rambam holds that if you find your friends, you have to strip him. So clearly the Rambam holds what? That the definition is what? That if, like the second day in Taisus and Shavuos, if he's going to be over in Isser al Yadi, that's not considered Shev al Taseh, that's considered Kem V'aseh, even though I'm passive, right? And that's why the Noida B'Yehuda was going to tell this guy, you got to tell him according to the Rambam. Im Kain, the Mishnah Melech's right. Then a Kohen Gadol has to go. Because now you're going to be over in Isser. Bezdin is going to put this guy to death. This Iguna is going to get married. And now it's over al Isser, al Yodo. That's Kum Ve'esei. So look, fi our Cheshbin, it should come out that the Mishnah Melech's read in the Rambam makes much more sense, which fits beautifully with the drasha, the Meshech Chochma, and the Sifra in Lo Samer al Dam Reyecha, that for Dinei Nefashos and for Isser V'Heter, the Kohen Gadol would have to